Hi there, and welcome to the iBAC Tech Trek podcast, where we explore the outer reaches of insurance technology. I am Tom Reid, your science officer on this journey, and today I am pleased to be joined by Christy and Jeff Barsalou. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, good, Tom. How
Hey,
you
thanks
doing?
for having us.
Right on. So, can I get you guys to give us a bit of a background on yourselves and maybe a little bit on the company as well, because you guys are relatively new. I'm sure not everybody in the country is aware of QuickFacts, but maybe just talk about yourselves and the company and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, sure. I'll kick that off. So, QuickFacts started with me. My background is I was an insurance broker for 17 years out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. And my career started as a receptionist, a data entry, sales, service, you name it, everything at the brokerage. But the majority of my career was always on the operational side. And my last position was a director of operations and innovation for the first digital brokerage in Atlantic Canada. And was able to really experience the pain firsthand that our technology is saving, which is what led to us starting the company. But maybe, Jeff, you do your bio and then we can dive into the history of QuickFacts.
Yeah, so prior to Christy and I met prior to kicking off QuickFacts, and I worked in an agency a while back. So had some questions about building a web application, and I kind of put her in touch with a few people, and then continued the conversation. And my background, I got an MBA from St. Mary's, got it in 2016, and I've always been on the sales and marketing front, business development as well. And so when Christy was chatting about it, she needed some support on the business side. So, my background in business was able to help support the business side where she's got the operations and insurance.
So QuickFacts, we started really quietly here in the Atlantic region in December of 2020. And we did that on purpose. We got a few pilot brokerages in the area to really test out the product that we were building, and really wanted to make sure it had that proper fit before being able to take it to market and really start scaling. So that was the early days, and we are now all across Canada. We're about to launch in Quebec later this year, and have been growing very rapidly across Canada. So it's been really, really exciting to see that growth.
So maybe you can, for those folks who are not yet your clients, just talk about what is it that QuickFacts actually does.
Yeah. So what we do is we aggregate all of the appetite and underwriting guidelines, because right now in every brokerage, it's always the standing over the cubicle or on Teams or something saying, hey, who's doing this and who will write this and where do I find this? And always asking everybody internally how to get this knowledge-based information. So what we do is we aggregate all of that information. So what we build out is side-by-side comparisons. So then that way we can program our software that it shows just the markets that you deal with and answers to those questions. So then that way you can see in real time as you're helping that customer to see about hail coverage, if they're covered or not, and different markets. Then that way they can give that proper advice to the customer at the end of the day. That's the first part of our software. The other part is being able to build your own internal procedures into that same workflow. So then our same software. So then that way, everything knowledge based for your brokerage is in one operational software.
That can be incredibly powerful, I imagine, to onboard new staff or make sure people are doing things a certain way and, pass company audits and what have you. It sounds that second aspect sounds really very powerful.
100%. And you're not wrong in helping to speed up that onboarding time for new brokers to be able to have the power at their fingertips to get the answers, get the most out of the different technology systems that they're using. So that way you can get proper reporting. Possibilities are endless with that.
Is this for all lines of business?
Yeah, so we started with the personal line side of things, but now we have our product covers high net worth, farm, and we just launched our commercial product as well.
Okay. So one of the things that brokers usually complain about is having to move data from system A to system B, or systems that don't talk to each other. How, I guess, first off, and then how does QuickFacts integrate with other tools that the broker might have at their disposal?
Yeah. So at this time, we are not integrating with anybody yet. And how I say that is because I remember being that broker and wanting all the things to integrate, but I didn't want to use that word and not have meaningful integration with the different software vendors. So that's what we're working on right now, is figuring out what that meaningful integration looks like with the different providers out there, whether it be different BMS vendors, quoting vendors, anything that really complements where we interject into that process for the brokerage. So exploring those options right now, and really excited with some things that we have in the pipeline.
I'll turn the lens over to Jeff. So Jeff, I have a few questions regarding the business benefit to brokers. Let's start with efficiency / productivity. How do brokers become more efficient and productive with your tool versus without it?
Yeah, I'm really excited to answer these questions because we're actually just off a fresh batch of case studies from customers. So I've got some really fresh data that I'm excited to share with some of these questions. So, early on we did some testing, and we found that it was up to 2 hours a day in wasted time sifting through carrier portals, manuals, documentation, trying to find that information. Calling underwriters to get a simple application. So that amount of time is wasted just kind of jumping from portal to portal and trying to compare and find the best coverage for your customer. So that information also is changing very frequently. So manuals are changing over and over again. Last year in Ontario alone, we did 640 manual changes for carriers in Ontario alone. So it's changing so rapidly. Brokers used to be able to keep this in their mind. You used to be able to keep up mostly with what the underwriting information was, but where it's changing so much faster, it's not possible to do anymore. So we give that time back to the brokers. We do some rough calculations on time saved. We also do some surveys every 6 months, and we're finding we're saving about 65 minutes per user per day right now. So a pretty significant amount of time back. Another exciting stat that we've kind of done some additional digging into is those calls to underwriters. So we did audits with an insurance carrier partner and a large brokerage partner, and we found that almost 50% of the calls that go to carrier underwriting teams are not really required. It's just that it's the path of least resistance for brokers. So our broker partners using QuickFacts are eliminating those calls needed, which in turn allows the underwriting teams to have more time as well to answer the much needed questions. And so brokers can call and get quick answers for those really difficult questions that they need an underwriter for.
Awesome. That is I think you said 65 minutes, if memory serves. That's obviously slightly over an hour, which is, one out of, let's say, 7 or 8 hours work. That's a 12 to 15% efficiency bump, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and that's what we're seeing on the efficiency side, that brokers are able to do a lot more with less, and that's the name of the game right now, right? If they need to be able to be more nimble. One of our brokers in those case studies actually said that they achieved 20% growth with their brokerage operations with no additional staffing, and they attributed it largely to QuickFacts software.
Fantastic. So let's turn our benefit lens over to the customer here. So how, in your opinion, how does QuickFacts benefit the policyholder, the customer?
Yeah, so they get much better service. We talked about first call resolution a lot in QuickFacts. They actually we're aiming to increase first call resolution. Brokers are coming back with faster responses. Brokers need to be experts in everything at all times, and that's really difficult to do. But with a tool like QuickFacts, they're able to understand every aspect of it and come to the customer and be the experts and really be confident in that. So that client is experiencing a much better quality of client experience. And then on top of that, they are able to see all of the different coverage options, whereas before maybe they got used to 3 or 4 markets that they could keep up with all the changes. But now they can see all the markets and see all the opportunities. So the client might actually get better coverage. And it's simply because the broker, based on the current operations and the current way that portals work and information changes, wouldn't have been able to find that, or was not aware that existed before. So the customer is getting great experience and better products and faster. We did receive some feedback that customer reviews from brokers using QuickFacts is becoming more positive and more organic coming through. So a really great sign to help bolster, because everybody's looking at those reviews now before they make that phone call or send that email.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess my last question on the business side, Jeff, is how do brokers feel that QuickFacts is improving their sales? Is QuickFacts directly benefiting brokers' growth opportunities?
Yeah. So, where we are an information tool, we don't see that directly on our software through our analytics or anything like that. So we do go by anecdotal information from our customers, or data from our customers on that end. But one that I was really excited to hear was that a top producer within a brokerage was actually able to increase their closing rate by 13%, and they do attribute that to QuickFacts. So that's a significant bump in closing rate for them. On top of that, that diversification that I mentioned, they get more comfortable with different carriers, so they're able to diversify their book of business, because now they're realizing that, oh, this carrier, has this appetite. It's actually quite good. So, that's something that's exciting and wasn't really possible to do with the tools at hand before.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to again turn my attention ever so slightly. I'm going to go back to Christy here. So you guys are putting a lot of proprietary information through your tool, or your clients are technically. How do you guys ensure that information, whether it's a carrier information or client information or what have you, how do you ensure that is secure?
Yeah, that's a great question. So definitely around the access points, making sure that our software has the user mapped accordingly to make sure that they're seeing the right things from the right providers at all times. So that would be on the more user level, making sure that they're only seeing that the markets that they have contracts with, and then access to their own internal information, and making sure that user accessibility is always programmed properly, and kept with those standards. The other thing is around security on our platform in general. So we are a newer company, so we are going through that SOC2 journey, and we do anticipate that finishing up by the end of this year. But as we go through that journey, we've always had all of our security processes in place. We do regular penetration testing and vulnerability scanning, as well as every carrier and customer that we work with. We go through those security audits and have successfully passed every single one of those audits based on the security processes that we have in place at QuickFacts.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. So let's talk about scaling. How does the tool scale? So you get brokers who are growing, and how does QuickFacts actually scale with those growing needs? If there's just organic growth or even an acquisition or what have you, how do you guys scale your operation for them?
Yeah, well, we kind of help with that, with the scaling, because, one of the hardest parts of scaling is knowledge. As you're bringing on those new brokers into your organization, whether they're new to the industry, whether they're new to just certain markets that you're writing with, getting them up to speed is crucial. So our software really scales with that brokerage. So whether they're a brokerage of 1 or 1,000, doesn't matter. Our software can really scale with them. So brokers can easily manage their users, add people as they're bringing on new users, remove them as they're no longer with them, and really be able to kind of take that to the next level. And our uptake, it's I've been asked this question before about, the popularity around our product. And I really think it's because brokers see their vision in our product. Every broker has tried to build something on an Excel document similar to what we have done. So because those frontline users really see that vision, they adapt very quickly to our product because they see the practical use of it. They see that it's a product that they can trust and be able to accomplish what they need to do in their day-to-day job. And as we already kind of highlighted, all the new hires, like just really being able to onboard people so much faster and so much easier than what they've been able to do in the past has been really crucial for brokers.
And I imagine, especially now, now that we're post-COVID, I mean, pre-COVID, a lot of people learned by sitting down beside the more experienced individual. And depending on the operation you happen to work with, that isn't the case anymore. It could be all virtual and you don't get to sit shoulder to shoulder with somebody. So that avenue of learning is, in a lot of cases, gone. Right. So you guys are stepping in to fill the gap there, obviously.
Yeah, Jeff's not wrong. COVID was the kickoff for us. I was on the board of directors at the time for Nova Scotia, and I was in the process of building the prototype and using it at the brokerage I was at, and hearing everybody's frustration with just people at home and not being able to share that knowledge easily was such a pivotal moment in our industry for sharing that knowledge and showing what happens when we lose that knowledge, right? So having knowledge easily accessible, documented is crucial for every brokerage in order to be able to maintain that knowledge in their organization versus seeing it leave.
Okay, so I want to ask about implementation, and I'll preface that by saying that I spent a chunk of my career in software development, and no matter how good your tool is, when it goes to be implemented by your intended client group, there's always something, right? Somebody doesn't like it. Somebody doesn't understand it. Somebody doesn't train their people well. Somebody doesn't config the tool properly. How do you guys support your new clients and your existing clients through that sort of adoption process?
Yeah, love this question. So I'm going to focus on the comparisons, and then maybe we can touch on the workflows real quick. But the comparisons software, which is kind of our main one where we compare the different markets, that is incredibly easy. So we worked very, very hard to make this the easiest tech lift that any brokerage has ever done. And we hear time and time again that it is insanely easy. We need three things up front. We need broker codes to confirm that they have contracts. We need about a one-pager on billing information, and then we need their user lists. From there, our team goes, configures QuickFacts specifically to their brokerage needs, to their provinces, to their product lines, to their carriers. We load all of their customers in. We then test their customers, make sure that they are able to log in, and then we virtually train them in small groups, so they're not all off the phone at once. And after that, they're able to kind of go ahead. We've got some continuing support tools that I'll talk on in a sec, but from start to finish with that process, we turn brokerages around in a week. So usually small brokerages, larger brokerages take a couple weeks just because of kind of the depth of information, the amount of users. But it is a very, very quick lift, and it's really easy to get off the ground. Continuing after onboarding, we have a live chat system that they can interact with. They can talk to any of our 10 previous brokers that we've got working at QuickFacts on the back end, handling all of supporting the content, the quality assurance side of things on our back end. And they can, provide some direction, some information, tech support, anything like that. And we do get a lot of feedback from that too. On we love hearing any requests. So sometimes people will say, I love this resource, but can you put this in? This would really help. And we love bringing that to life. We've got some roadmaps there that we keep track of. And really uptake has been very quick. We see 80-90% of users within the first couple months using it regularly. And then there are always people that are a little bit more resistant to change. And, maybe they've done it their way for a while, so they get stuck in that. And that's, that's to be expected. We've got a few tips and some supporting tools for them. So generally we recommend not giving answers to people that can easily be found in QuickFacts, that when they're asking their team, rather send them the link and kind of drive them right to that page where they can find that information. That's our probably most proven method. We do monthly webinars where anybody can jump in to get a refresher or some information on that as well. And we run contests. So we like to have a little bit of fun in QuickFacts. So we actually run scavenger hunt contests every few months where we'll hide certain things across different pages. Brokers will find them, fill out a quick form, and they get entered into a draw, and we give away baskets across the country. So yeah, like to have a little bit of fun. The workflows one, just keep it kind of brief here, but the workflows one is a little bit more. So people can take this. We've got it as a do-it-yourself, so they can take it. They can build everything from scratch, run with it themselves. That's if you think of all the processes in a brokerage, that's a vast amount of information. If they are a well-organized one with it all very well documented, they can certainly do that themselves, bring it to life, get their team going, and we've got tons of amazing editing tools that allow that to stay living and maintained and updated, which is the hardest part. We also do our own training onboarding for workflows. We'll actually build from scratch processes from start to finish with brokerages. That obviously is a lot more in-depth and detailed, so that can take months depending on the size of the brokerage and the amount of process and operations that they want included in our workflow software. But at the end of the day, they get a tool back to them that they've been wanting for a long time, that they are able to search through, they're able to interact with and maintain that consistent process and experience. Or the managers can make sure that their team is using the proper process to get reports out of their BMS, which without the proper process, you're not getting those reports at all. It becomes kind of garbage in, garbage out,
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to ask the $64,000 question, and I'm not sure which of you I should be directing this one to, but so this all sounds super awesome. How much does this cost?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll take that one. I'll let Christy off easy on this one. So yeah, we do have personal and commercial lines products that we offer now. So it varies. It is up to $52 per user per month, but it goes down to as little as $10 per user per month, depending on what you want. We've got economies of scale. So as you bring more users, there's some lower tier pricing. And we also do have some enterprise pricing for those large volume purchases to make that a little bit more palatable. The workflow side of things, it's from $25 to $10 per user per month. And again, there's no cost to kind of get that up and running if you want to do it yourself. But if you would rather our team, we do price out specific project costs to get that up and running.
Fantastic. So if you cast your minds, let's say 2 to 5 years down the road, what do you think QuickFacts is going to look like? What markets are you going to serve? Are you going to put new products out there? Where's QuickFacts going to be 2 to 5 years down the road?
Oh, love this question. We're going to keep growing. So, we are always going to be in that knowledge space. That's where we excel, but looking for opportunities to always try and take that to the next level. So, I'll talk about geographies. So, as much as we're here across Canada, looking for other markets to move into, such as the States, Europe, you name it, looking at other markets that make sense for us. But vision wise is really just taking this information and taking it to the next level, really finding smart ways for brokers to be able to save that time, using AI to help enable them to be those experts in that real time, which is what the biggest struggle for brokers is, to be that advisor, because it's just so cumbersome to find all of this information. So taking that play to the next level and really getting into that space that having that knowledge transfer is much easier all around for brokerages.
The world of insurance is changing because the world of tech is changing. Join us on the journey at ibactech.ca.